Okay guys, we're back for our weekly update of the reserve list top selling cards this week from December 2nd to the 9th of 2023. So you're probably wondering which card is going to come out on top. Don't worry, stick around. We're about to get the party started. Reserve list, here we come. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. We are starting out at number 10, and it is from Weatherlight Paradigm Shift with 30 sales this week, December 2nd to the 9th of 2023. The total sales volume for this card is $268 US, and of course this does have win con possibilities. The card does state 1 blue, 1 generic. It's a sorcery. Remove all cards in your library from the game. Shuffle your graveyard into your library, and away you go. Now, of course, there are some cards out there that say if you have no cards in your library, you win the game. Keep those kind of win-con things in your mind, and before you know it, Paradigm Shift becomes a highly utilized card. I'm assuming this uptick in sales for this card, though, is because it's end of year. People are probably starting to mess around with some new deck construction and just to try some fun cards out. It explains everything. It's less than $10 a card. Makes perfect sense. Let's dive down now to the number 9 card this week. This one's a bit of a surprise. It's Visions. It's Retribution of the Meek. It's been on the top 10 numerous times. It comes in at number 9 with 32 sales this week. And of course, the average price for this card is $6.90. The market price is $6.65, and it's €5.45 to get this card into your house. The total sales volume was $220 US. So what do you get for your money? Well, take a close look at the card. It is 1 white and 2 generic, and it says, as a sorcery, bury all creatures with power 4 or greater. So depending on what type of deck you're utilizing, making sure you have creatures that are 4 or less and allowing board wipe spells like this to take control. And there are others of that type that say over a certain power level means you can mix in a few of these to really make your deck kind of pop out, especially if you're trying things in Commander. It makes a lot of sense to try cards like this out, especially at the price point players are finding these cards at. Alright guys, that wraps up our number 9. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 8 card this week. It's been here before, and I'm sure it'll be back again after this. It is Null Rod from Weatherlight. 33 sales this week with a total sales volume of $3,696. This card has an average price of $112.48 US. The market price is $86.88 US, €56.57 to get that card. And of course, here in Canada, it's around $130 Canadian right now. It has seen an uptick in price across the board the last couple of weeks. A lot of sales happened, especially around Black Friday with some of the discount stores were offering. It means people are probably recognizing the highly value of this card. I mean, people just miss cards like this sometimes, and you really shouldn't. Null Rod is a 2 generic artifact. It can be put anywhere where you don't want artifact activated abilities. And it says players cannot play any artifact abilities requiring an activation cost. Crazy card. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 7 card this week. This again is a throwback from last week, but it's still hanging in there, and that is Plateau from Revised Edition. And yes, dual lands have seen an uptick in sales across the board. They may not be enough to make the top 10, but a lot of players are cashing in and getting some of these cards now while they still can, and they don't really care about the condition. Remember that. The average price for this card is $329 US. The market price is $295.93 US, €198 to get this card. Here in Canada, it's around $450 Canadian. Now, this card had a total sales volume of $11,515. That's only 35 sales, but that's still a very high price tag considering what it costs to get the card. A lot of players decide to buy into it. I get it. A lot of Commander builds going on, as well as some Vintage and Legacy players stepping in to fill in the market and say, you know what, I could use another playset of Plateau. I might as well get it now while it's still kind of cheap. Although this card, again, like others, is bouncing back. Alright guys, let's go ahead now and take a look at another surprise entry. I didn't expect this to still be here this week. This is Sanctum with 37 sales this week. And of course, this card is one of my favorite artworks. It does say tap to add 1 white to your mana pool. for each enchantment you control. Those 37 sales generated a total sales volume of $9,213 US. The average price is $249 US. The market price is $235 US. It's €158, and here in Canada, you're still looking at $350 to get that card. It's kind of crazy to think about, guys. These cards aren't coming back around. It's never going to get reprinted because it's on the reserve list, and you can still get it for less than $500. That is crazy to me with all the new enchantments we've seen coming out with each and every set nowadays. Wizards has made it a very, very juicy card indeed. All right, guys, we're dropping down now to the number 5 card. Out of the blue, we got Thawing Glaciers from Alliances. Now, this card I've talked about numerous times over the years here on the channel. This one had 41 sales this week, and that generated a total sales volume of $724 US. It does come into play tapped, and it does state, 1, tap, search for your library for a basic land card and put it into play tapped. This does not count towards the 1 land per turn limit. Shuffle your library afterwards, and at the end of turn, return Thawing Glaciers to your hand. It's very interesting that this thing says 1 and tap and search. Imagine finding ways of untapping your land and popping this out multiple times. I'm really surprised this card ever came down from the $50 buy point back in 2022. I can't believe it's this cheap. I recommend picking up a playset if you can. It's a card you're not going to regret buying, guys. It's totally crazy. And of course, if you're buying it, use my TCG affiliate link. It's found in the description of this video. Thanks again for everyone who takes the time to do so and help out the channel here. Now, we are dropping in at number 4. If you can believe this, guys, we are checking out MOX Diamond. That's right, guys. MOX Diamond with 42 sales this week and a generated sales volume of $8,386. This card has really been leveling out the last couple of months. I'm surprised it hasn't dipped further, but it looks like enough sales are happening to stabilize the market where a lot of other reserve list cards have fallen. This one, because of its playability, is really leveling out and finding that kind of balance between what players are willing to pay and what players are expecting when they sell it. It's a great card, man. I can understand why players are jumping in on it. Average price is $5.99. The market price is around $5.51. $356 if you're in euro dollars, and here in Canada it's still around $700. It's still a pretty pricey card, but it's one that a lot of players still buy even here in Canada. Now we're dropping into our number 3 card this week. It's Wheel of Fortune again from Revised. $296.67 is your average. The market is $258.12, €159 1 cent to get that card. But if you look here, it still generated 45 sales this week. That's a total sales volume of $13,320 US. That's pretty respectable for a card like this, guys. And although I expected this card to really kind of drop off, it's had consistent sales that I know it's on a few wish lists now for some of my local stores across Ontario and a couple in the States where players don't want to buy on TCG Player. There's been some shipping issues, I know. I've never actually had an issue with their shipping, but I know other players who have. I know it's been getting around, but when I look at this right now, I can see why players still want to buy Wheel of Fortune. It's an amazing card. It makes perfect sense, at least have one. Now, number 2 this week is going to throw you guys. It shouldn't be here, but somebody's having some fun with the MOX, man, at this point because, yeah, we're back with Fast Bond, Revised Edition. It's back. It's not leaving. Average price, $24.99. And it's got 61 sales this week, or a total generated sales volume of $1,525 US. Now, we all know the banning didn't do anything. There was no commander unbanning or anything. There's nothing happening. Okay, which means this is a very limited card that could be played, but players just love buying it at this point. There's got to be some gimmick going on that I don't know about that just has players floored about buying this particular card. And they don't care what condition. I've seen moderately played, heavily played. I've seen everything under the sun, including damaged, still selling each and every week. So guys, we've gone this far. You've made it down to number 2, and you're probably wondering what comes in at number 1. Well, the number 1 card threw the MOX man a bit, but then I reevaluated and said, yeah, I can see why this is number 1 this week. The Anvel of Bogarden is from Visions, and this card this week came in with 66 sales, okay? A total sales volume generated of $2,200 US. The average price is $33.56. The market price is $32.79. €19.35 to get that card into your house. And if you were buying it here in Canada, you'd be spending around $50 Canadian. Now, this card has been as high as $160 US, and now it's a paltry $33.56. This is a 2 generic artifact that says each player skips his or her discard phase. During each player's draw phase, that player draws an additional card and then chooses and discards a card. There are lots of reasons to have this card in your deck. Dredge loves the thing. It's a fun card to have around, and at the price point, I can see why a lot of players are buying this card. Well, that does it for your top 10 this week. Thanks again for hanging out with the Mox Man. Let's follow up here with a wrap-up. Thanks a lot, guys, for sticking around here at the end of the video. We'll do a bit of a wrap-up here on what's going on in the market space for reserve list cards. Overall, the tone is everything is slowing down. The closer we get to Christmas, there's a lot less volume being kind of counted on here throughout the reserve list sales. Yes, there are still some hot sellers, as you can see here in the market space of what was going on with the top 10, but there are so many cards I'm used to seeing at that 10-20 sales volume that just nothing is happening. 5-6 sales in a week. Everything is just kind of shutting down for the most part, but at the same time, prices aren't dropping like they were. I know a lot of players aren't really focused on this right now. There's other things catching, the shiny ball for the cat, and the cat's chasing it around. But overall, the market right now is just kind of calm. It's not anymore. I don't know how to describe this. It's not losing like it was losing. It's almost as if there's like a bottom being found, and it's kind of working its way back up from that bottom ever so slightly. Yeah, cards are still losing money, but they're just not losing the way they were. And most of the local LGSs I check with have very low stock of anything old reserve list right now. They've cleared it out, they've fire sold it, whatever, it's gone. They're not really buying it back, but they do recognize that the market seems to have found a bottom, which is kind of interesting. Either way, as we get close to Christmas, I wouldn't think there's going to be tons of sales, but I've been surprised before, so you never know what's going to happen. That's the thing about the reserve list. All it takes is somebody with the need to buy some cards and wants to own a whole bunch of one particular card, and they say, hey, I'm going to buy 100 copies. You never know what's going to happen. It's reserve list. But the one thing players can count on, these cards aren't being reprinted by the look of it. They're never coming back around, and as much as Wizards keeps knocking on the door, there's nobody home because nobody wants to touch it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys for the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day, and don't forget, it's an amazing game. Bring a friend to Magic. And of course, a shout out, a thank you to the fantastic patrons we have supporting this channel. Because of them, daily content is made available on this channel. Thanks again for that support. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the next video. Have an awesome day, everyone. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You've made it to the end. You're the nacho cheese eating type of person that I like to hang out with. Because even when you think it's all done, it's not really done. I know, right? Okay, so when are we going to wrap up here? The new King Kong movie looks interesting. I had to shovel a lot of snow, which really was not good. It was heavy, like packing snow. I was dying. I did have to bust out the snowblower. It took a little while, but it was worth it. Your back can only take so much of the heavy 50-pound shovel loads, right? Yeah, I know. I can only lift 50 pounds. I know. It's horrible. I'm a weakling. It's all good. Self-deprecating much. Either way, guys, great time here in Magic, man. I saw some interesting decks this weekend. Less Franken decks, by the way. Less Franken decks. A lot more stuff is going on out there. Either way, thanks a lot for stopping by, man. I got stuff to do. I'll see you guys soon.